221 Yada Yahowah, Azab, separation. 5. Bagad, betrayal. Untrustworthy. Humankind is in a fog. Most are aiding and abetting their own demise. Evidential truth has been exchanged for unsubstantiated opinions, reason has been abrogated by speculation, and man has replaced God with himself. That leaves us with a choice. We can separate ourselves from the lemmings, reject religion and politics, mock the conspiracies, and turn instead to the Torah and prophets. Speaking through one of the best, Yahowah used several different words to emphasize the importance of listening in the opening stanza of the 5th chapter of Hosea. Hear this, Shama Joth, listen to this and process the information. Those who are priests and have become religious leaders, Kohen, ministers tasked with explaining and facilitating participation in the Berith and Miqra'ey via the Torah. Pay attention and be attentive to what you are hearing. Qashab, listen diligently and accept this information as true, then respond to it. Family of Yisra'el, Beit Yisrael. Household of the king and extended family of political leaders, Beit HaMelech, home of government rulers, open your ears to hear as tools to evaluate and consider. Ajan, broaden the scope of what you are 222 hearing, give ear and listen. From Ajan, to weigh, test, prove, and consider. Ozin, implements and tools, and Azan, ears. For this, KY, just assessment, HaMishpat, this rational evaluation and reasoned conclusion using sound judgment leading to a justified condemnation, applies to you, La Atom. Indeed, KY, you have become, higher, you exist as a snare, a dangerous means to control others. Hok, you are plotting a calamity to trap and restrict. La Mitspah, with the means to be observant. La Mitspah, approaching the way to be watchful, to explore and examine, to focus upon and consider. From my, to consider the implications of Zafar, being observant, in addition to, Wa, a net, Reshith, a means to capture, control, and confine, a network designed to impoverish and dispossess others. From Yarash, to disinherit. Spread out, Parosh, scattered around, upon, Tabor, a broken and confused world. Tabor, the confounding abominations of the earth. From Tabar, broken and Tebel, perverted and confounded world. Hosea, he liberates. Hosea 5:1. Yahowah has divided society into 3 segments: priests, people, and politicians. I believe that they are listed in this order for a reason. If the Loi had listened and done as they were asked, Yisraelites would have heard them speak of Yahowah. Had that occurred, they would have responded appropriately because God's word is consistent and compelling. And had they done so, the people would have relied upon Yahowah's priests and judges to properly interpret and apply the Torah, negating the need for politicized kings. Since he elected to use a different word for listen for ministers, for individuals, and for leaders, let's see if we can ascertain why. For the priests, Yahowah chose 223 Shama. It is the most commonly used term by God when he encourages us to Shama, listen to him. It is not nuanced beyond hearing. And yet, because it is often used in conjunction with Shema, to closely examine and carefully consider, and shares 2 of 3 letters in its composition in common, we may conclude that the observant individual listens to God. The aforementioned letters comprising these words elucidate their similarities. Both begin, sh, shin followed by, mem. The shin was drawn to show teeth and was used to depict the words we convey when we manipulate our tongues behind them and lips before them. The mem is a picture of water and, thereby, presents its life-giving and cleansing nature. As a result, we are being asked to listen to and observe words that prepare us for life. The concluding letter in Shema, observe, is Rosh. It reveals a human head where we ingest what surrounds us using our ears, eyes, nose, and mouth, and then process it all in our brain. Shama, listen, curiously and by way of confirmation, ends with an ain or I. This is particularly relevant because it affirms something I've been sharing for the past 22 years. We listen to Yahowah by observing the words he has inscribed on our behalf and reciting them. This was the instruction given to the Kohen, to the individuals tasked specifically with conveying and interpreting the word of God to the people such that they might understand the Torah, participate in the Berith, and attend the Miqra'ey. Teachers begin as students who listen before they speak. For the people, God selected qashab. He wants those he is talking about to pay attention and to be diligent regarding the response to what we are hearing. It is in our interest to be attentive, receive the message, and accept it as true so that we respond appropriately to it. And let's be 224 clear, Yahowah is addressing Yisrael, not Christians or Haredi. He has no interest in those who are religious listening to him, because he cannot stand to be around them. Qashab was graphically presented as, for Yisrael, this reveals that there would be a new day, one of greater enlightenment, with words that would lead them home. For Yisrael's leaders, Yahowah used Arjan. While pronounced differently, it was written identically in the ancient text to Azan, ear. It depicts our Azan, faculty of hearing, as an ozin, tool or implement to deploy in the Arjan, testing, proving, evaluating, and considering what we can Arjan, incline and open our ears to hear. Arjan was scribed with the leader of the flock plowing the ground so that it is receptive to seeds taking root and growing. And so, in these characters, Yahowah has explained the role of one who seeks to lead his people. Rather than pontificate on their agenda, God wanted those guiding his people to perceive, ponder and consider, even prove the validity and efficacy, of his Torah instructions. They would do well to weigh and test the Torah and prophets when shepherding God's flock. The mishpat, just assessment, included Yahowah's evaluation of his people. It would serve as his justification to condemn the whole lot of them, the religious, the political, and those they sought to control. And control is the operative word. Yahowah is accusing Israel's religious and political leaders of robbing his people of their freedom to choose him over them. They were engaged in a devastating plot to restrict the unwary, trapping the unsuspecting. God is not only adroitly explaining the reason behind religion and 225 politics, but he is delineating the reason he is opposed to both. They seek to control those he has sought to set free. The method the political and religious leadership deployed to constrain people was to restrict their ability to mitspah, be observant. As has been the case with the rabbis and with the politically correct in the West, the religious and political discourage exploring anything which is contrary to their set agenda. Color outside of their lines and they will attack so aggressively that few will replicate the same picture. This is the nature of politics and religion. Those who deploy these approaches to governance mislead and ensnare their prey. Those who succumb do so out of ignorance. And once trapped, the masses discover that there is no escape, other than to die at the hands of their tormentors. As the 20th century demonstrated, with the onset of the pernicious doctrines of Nazism, imperialism, and communism, the lives of over 100 million people were sacrificed to the schemes of men. And it is only going to get worse as we move deeper into this century, and enter the time of Jacob's troubles. The deadliest of nets will be cast out upon Tabor, a broken and confused world. Mitzpah's gruesome tale begins in Shafot, Judges 19:10, and runs through the end of the book. The Yisraelites were gathered together, including chiefs and clerics, to consider, take counsel, and speak up about wickedness that had taken place. A woman had been raped and murdered by a mob of Benjamites. As a result, they took an oath concerning those who did not respond to Yahowah at Mitzpah, saying, "He shall surely be put to death." One tribe is cut off from Yisrael today. By contrast, Tabor is cloaked in victory. This is where the great judge and prophet Deborah lured Sisera to the mountain to end his oppression of God's people. Mitzpah 226 and Tabor are tragedy and hope. And they are both used as bait to trap and control the religious and political. The rebellious insurgents who are openly defiant, Waset, those who swerve to and fro, turning aside and falling away, are intensely and deeply, Amak, are profoundly and cunningly, murderous, even genocidal, Shakatar, deadly to the point of sacrificing humans, so I, Wa-Eni, will judge and punish all of them, inflicting the appropriate penalty upon each of them, which is to incarcerate the totality of them. Mobzar Lahem, will shackle and constrain every one of them to rebuke them all. Hausha, he protects, Hosea 5:2. The proponents of religion who are overtly hostile to Yahowah and his people, who deliberately pull the unsuspecting away from the proper path, are genocidal from Yahowah's perspective. And for that, they have earned their express ticket to hell. God is going to judge and punish them all, inflicting the appropriate penalty on each insurgent, which will be at the very least, to incarcerate them in Sheol. To be just, recompense is required to be fair to those they deliberately killed. I myself am aware of any Yada, I have noticed and so I am familiar with, Ephraym, ashes, Ephraym, worthless specks of carbon, from Ephah, useless ash, describes the 10 tribes of the northern kingdom. And Yisra'el, those who contend and struggle with God, why Yisra'el, is not hidden, lo kakad, is not concealed, from me, min any. For now, ky otter, Ephraym, worthless specks of carbon, Ephraym, ashes, is an unfaithful, immoral, and disingenuous religious whore. Zana, is a prostitute, a harlot feigning affection to many for monetary gain. And Yisra'el, individuals who strive and struggle against God, is defiled, tame, is unclean and 227 impure, improper and desecrated, polluted and sullied, dishonorable and deplorable. Hausha 5-3. Their cultural traditions, social customs, religious practices, and political dealings, Malal-hem, their actions and activities, do not allow, lo Nathan, preclude, a return to, la Shubel, restoration with, cal infinitive, the intensity and genuineness of a continuous and demonstrable return, their God, Elohim Hem. Indeed, it is certain that, ky, an illegitimate, and duplicitous spirit, ruach zenunim, a disloyal and immoral, an unreliable and whorish, religious spirit akin to a prostitute acting under false pretenses, is within them, bar Hem, is within their midst and inner nature. Therefore, they do not know or understand, lo Yada, they are not familiar with and do not acknowledge, they are unaware of and do not respect, Yahowah, a transliteration of Yahowah is instructed in his Torah, teaching regarding his higher existence. Hausha, he delivers, Hosea 5:4. We've looked at Yada from both sides now, from up and down, and still somehow, its illusions of Yada Yisrael recalls, because they don't know Yada at all. There are many revealing verbs in the Hebrew lexicon, but when it comes to Yahowah, Yada is best of all. Yahowah was aware that Yisra'el, those who were contending with God had become Ephraym, worthless specks of carbon. Their religion had defiled them, making them unacceptable. Judaism had taken its toll, sullying a now hopelessly polluted, dishonorable, and deplorable people. As a consequence of Ma'alhem, their cultural traditions, social customs, religious practices, and political dealings, there would be no right of return, no homecoming, and no means to restoration or 228 reconciliation. The last bridge had been burned. Hausha was the lone Yisraelite prophet at the time and they were not listening to him. When God is precluded from speaking to a people, they cannot hear him, know him, or exist anywhere near him. This is why the 10 tribes have long been considered lost. They had lo Nathan, negated the gift of life in a relationship with Yahowah. The verb, shu, to return and be restored, was presented in the cal infinitive, affirming that the obstacles in their path were daunting and enduring. Over the next 27 centuries, Yisraelites would identify with their customs, traditions and religion, but not their God. And while that is clearly what occurred, and it is heartbreaking, it isn't the worst of it. It is one thing to reject Yahowah and another altogether to accept Satan, the adversary. And yet, that is precisely what God is revealing through his prophet. It is certain that, ky, an illegitimate and duplicitous spirit, a disloyal and immoral spirit, an unreliable and whorish, religious spirit akin to a prostitute acting under false pretenses, ruach zenunim, is within them, bar Hem. As a consequence, they do not know or understand, are unfamiliar with and fail to acknowledge, lo Yada, Yahowah, Yahowah. And it was all because they were acting like Zana, unfaithful, immoral, and disingenuous religious whores. It may have been the oldest profession, but it is not the most desirable. Fortunately, they were left with a glimmer of hope. The negation of Yada was scribed in the perfect conjugation, which means that it would not have to remain that way forever. Perhaps by juxtaposing Yada and Yahowah, God is suggesting that Yada Yahowah may contribute to the awakening of a remnant such that they 229 dispense with their customs, traditions, and religion in time to give Yahowah a chance. Between now and then, we can be assured that it is religion that has separated Yisrael from Yahowah, with their faith keeping them from knowing. Rather than bringing people and God together, religion is the greatest impediment between us. Religion isn't just a trap, a means to control the unsuspecting, it precludes believers from knowing or reaching God. Yada means more than to know and understand, although, when associated with Yahowah, to know him and understand what he is offering and expecting from us in return is sufficient. But since Yada is the purpose of our quest, every possible rendering is worthy of our consideration. According to the New American Standard Hebrew Dictionary, Yada is translated the following ways, and times: to acknowledge, 6 to be acquainted with, 6 to be aware of, 6 to choose, 2 to comprehend, 1 to be concerned with, 3 to consider and discern, 6 to discover, 3 to experience, 5 to be a familiar and intimate friend, 4 to find, 6 to have knowledge of, 13 to have relations with, 10 to be informed about, 5 to investigate, 2 to know and to be known, knew and knows, 700 to know for certain, 8 to learn about, 8 to make someone or something known, 40 to notice and observe, 6 to perceive and realize, 10 to recognize and regard, 4 to teach, instruct, and declare, 17 to understand, 12. Yada is used nearly 1,000 times in the Torah, Nabi, wa Mizmor. That is an impressive number, at least until we recognize that Yahowah's name is spelled out 7,000 times. So, it all comes down to who you know, what you understand, and how you respond to it. Moreover, the pride and arrogance, gaon, the unwarranted perceptions and constant agitation, the 230 presumptuousness and haughtiness, the self-adulation and glorification, of Yisra'el, those who struggle with and contend against God, testifies, Anna, bears witness as a conspicuous pronouncement, and it is the answer to the response, Kal perfect, against his presence, Bar Panahu, against his face, his very appearance. Therefore, Yisra'el, those who contend and struggle with God, Yisra'el, and, Ephraym, worthless specks of carbon, Ephraym, ashes, will falter, stumble, and fall, and they will be overthrown, qashab, will stagger and will not succeed as a result of being feeble and weak, Nephil imperfect, the northern kingdom consistently stumbled and so their fall is not only their fault, the consequences will be enduring, in their perverse corruptions and libelous errors, Bar-aun, A1 in their depravity, wrongdoing, transgressions, and resulting guilt. Yahweh, beloved of Yahweh, related to will also waver and succumb along with them, Kashal Gamim will falter and fall in addition to them, staggering and failing to succeed as a result of being weakened, even overthrown following them, Kal perfect, while they will actually be overthrown, this condition will not prevail forever. Hausha, he protects, Hosea 5:5. One of the many reasons amplification is an aid to understanding is because otherwise we would likely miss the implications of the Hebrew stems, conjugations and moods. In this case, the same verb, kashal, to stumble and fall, was directed at Yisrael and Yahweh, albeit with very different implications and consequences. With the Nephil stem, Ephraym is responsible for having fallen and will endure a consequence of their own making. They made the mess and will get to lie in it, with no one to blame but themselves. Further, in the imperfect conjugation, there will be no getting up, at least for a very long time. They constantly faltered, and so their fall will be continuous. 231 When scribed in the Kal perfect, and applied to Yahweh, Judah, we discover that the southern kingdom will actually be overthrown during a finite period of time, and that they will not stay down, suggesting that they will genuinely rise again. Both aspects are literally true. The 10 tribes of Israel remain essentially lost after the Assyrian conquests 2,700 years ago. And while Yahweh was overthrown by Rome between 66 and 135 CE, the descendants of those who were hauled off into slavery have returned. It is Yahweh whom we refer to as Jews today. Pride begets self-reliance. It is a condition that leads away from trusting Yahweh. And no matter how productive and powerful a nation might be, no matter how impervious its defenses appear or how stellar its collective intellect, societies that separate themselves from God quickly find that their productivity, power, and pride are a mirage. Within their flocks, Bart-son among sheep and goats and with their flocks, and among their herds, War-bar-bakar with tomorrow's sacrifices, they will travel about, Holok, they will go, to search to inquire about, seek to hold responsible, and look to conspire against, La Bakosheth, they will try to be accountable while rebelling against the authority of, Peel infinitive, consistently defining themselves by this ill-advised quest, Yahowah, our Eloah, God as directed in his Torah, teaching regarding his existence and our shalom, restoration, but, they will not achieve what they seek, lo matzah, they will not find satisfaction, obtain what they sought to uncover, and they will not encounter or experience the reaping or harvest, Kal imperfect. He has withdrawn, chalets, he has removed himself and disassociated, Kal perfect, from them, Minhem. Hausha 5-6. 232 They have been untrustworthy and unreliable, having betrayed and been treacherous in their dealings, Bagad, they have been unfaithful and adulterous, having shown themselves in violation of the agreement by their religious apparel, Kal perfect, with, against, Yahowah, written as directed by his Torah, teaching. For now, simultaneously, they have fathered and brought forth offspring, Yelod, they have fostered descendants, who are illegitimate and estranged children, Ky ben Zarim, who are separated, alienated, deserted, foreign, and distant. So now, therefore, the crescent moon, Hadesh, the sign of renewing light on the moon's surface which is now symbolic of Islam, will devour them, the Kalhem, will consume and destroy them, taking the space which belonged to them, along with their land, Eth-Chelichem, as a result of their seductive words, such that their fate is a reward for taking their territory. Hausha, he saves, Hosea 5:7. Yisraelites have flocked together more than any other race or cultural group, even when exiled from their homeland. Therefore, it is more instructive to view Bart-son and Bar-bakar from this perspective, presenting the herd mentality of Yisrael, than it is to continuously view them as sheep herders. Having migrated throughout Europe together, and to the New World, and encountering antisemitism wherever they have gone, rabbis have sought to hold God accountable for their poor reception and subsequent torment. But in all of this time, and in all of their ways, they are no closer to the truth and they are further from Yah. And while they have rebelled against his authority, the consequence is to be excluded from the ensuing harvest, and that surely was not the intent. They have withdrawn 233 from Yahweh, and so God has removed his presence and witness from Yisra'el. To know Yah is to strive to be like him, to see the world as he views it and to reflect his redeeming attributes. Yahweh is trustworthy and reliable, and therefore seeks the same in us. So, when people he has assisted betray him, he is none too pleased. And in the case of Yisra'el, their response to God has been particularly treacherous, because they knew better. When those God has entrusted with his Torah, his covenant, his invitations, and even his land betray him, it reflects poorly on God. And when this is done by people who are seen flocking together by their choice of bizarre and mournful religious outfits, it implies that their miserable lives are somehow the result of relying upon him rather than rejecting him. Raising their sons and daughters to be religious, the Haredi have fathered illegitimate and alienated children who are estranged from Yahweh. This is why the Assyrians were allowed to have their way with them. It is why they were hauled off into captivity throughout a region that would be plagued by Islam, the religion that marauds under the sign of a crescent moon. They would lose their land to Muslims as well as their right to live. Their possessions have been devoured by Muhammad's barbarians. And this is why chelik is such a provocative term in this context. In conjunction with a kal, it reveals that Allah's little helpers devoured their land and took their territory, such that Yisraelites were consumed as a result of their seductive words, those found in the Babylonian Talmud and then in the Quran. Killing them would secure a jihadist's fate and serve to provide virginal rewards in paradise. Some or all of this was foretold via chelik. And it is another example of why we prefer amplification, where every reasonable connotation is considered. 234 There are thousands of words Yahweh could have chosen instead of Hadesh to illustrate the source of Yisrael's, and by extension America's torment. I include America because, throughout Hausha, Yahweh's audience has been Yisra'el, and there are nearly as many of God's chosen people in America, as there are in Yisra'el. The Hadesh, or renewing moon, has been the symbol of Islam since the beginning. Muslims have attacked, and they will continue to terrorize and kill Jews because it is Allah's highest calling. Muslims are incapable of creating anything, but they are perfectly suited to devour the wealth of other nations, wiping out that which is valuable, burning, destroying, and causing devastation. Islam wasn't the first satanic religion to slaughter God's people under the sign of a crescent moon. The Hastings Encyclopedia of Religion says, Allah is a pre-Islamic name corresponding to the Babylonian god known as Bel. Bel, like Baal, means Lord and is a title of reverence to the moon god, Sin. So, by using Hadesh, Yahweh revealed what would befall his estranged and scattered children, perpetrated by the Islamic Federation, in an all-Islamic war against Yisrael during the time of Jacob's troubles. And speaking of that time, blow, takar, sound and trumpet, kal imperative, of your own free will choose to actually blast, the Showphar, ram's horn trumpet, from Shoph, to strike out openly in a crushing and bruising manner, and Shafar, in a bright, fair, and beautiful way, upon, Bar, Harjaibar, the hill, the clarion, Chatzozara, horn, in, Bar, Haramah, the heights. Signal an alarm and shout for joy, Ruah, make a loud noise so that it is heard openly by the public and they become aware of what is going to occur, tragically and jubilantly, at Beth Awen, home of trouble, Beth 235 Awen, house of religious wickedness and family of affliction and sorrow. It is the end for you as the other, a charter, afterward, at a later time, during the last days, it will be over for you, O Benjamin, Benjamite, Benjamin, son of the sea, spawn of Gentiles. Hausha 5-8. Ephraym, worthless specks of carbon, Ephraym, ashes, will be horrified and desolated, La Shamar, will be devastated during a horrific, atrocious, and appalling event, which will occur, higher, in the day, Bar Yaum, during the time, of rebuke and punishment, Tokeka, disapproval, argument, rational discourse, correction, and chastisement, of chiding and impeachment, among the various tribes, Bar Shabat, within the clans, family heritage, subdivisions, and people groups, of Yisra'el, those who contend and struggle with God. Yisra'el? At that time, I will make Yada known to be sure, Yada Aman, I will be known and acknowledged for being truthful and reliable, dependable and enduring. Yada is hyphal perfect, God will act at a certain point to acknowledge and make known, while a man is nephal participle, as he carries out and receives the benefits of being reliable in a highly descriptive manner. Hausha, he saves, Hosea 5:9. The Showphar, ram's horn provides an elegant, boisterous, and piercing, almost haunting resonance when blown correctly. It is the style of trumpet Yahweh selected to herald his announcement of Towrah, trumpets. It represents the last opportunity his people will have to tune into his message and listen to the warnings and provisions he is providing. Yahweh who turn a deaf ear to the final blast of the Showphar on Towrah will remain estranged come Yom Kippurim, the day of reconciliations. They 236 will miss Sukkah, the return to the garden and the time to camp out with our Father. This realization is not only important to you, but to me as well. I was summoned by Yahowah on Towrah, the day of Ruah, signaling an alarm and shouting for joy in the fall of 2001. With other troubadours having joined the chorus, we have been takar, trumpeting Yahowah's message as Ruah, loudly and openly as possible ever since. Throughout this prequel to the last days, we have given equal time to the tragedies and triumphs that await a misled and unsuspecting world. Yahowah's message has sounded in Beth Awen, the home of trouble and house of religious affliction. And in the end, it will bring down the other Benjamite, Shaul, Paul, and his religious cult, Christianity. The 4 volumes of Questioning Paul, Liar's Lie, Torahless, Devil's Advocate, and Incredible, are the most effective weapons ever wielded at the world's most popular and anti-Semitic religion. While it has always been obvious, particularly with Yahowah calling Shaul out by name in Habakkuk, calling him the plague of death, it is always reassuring to read Yahowah's concurrence. Christianity will be second after Islam to meet its doom. This is a particularly revealing aspect of this prophecy for the last days, because with all of Yahowah's animosity directed at Yisra'el, with Benjamin excluded from Ephraym, the wayward tribe remained unmentioned up to this point. But now we know that the tribe that gave us the 2 most infamous demon-possessed individuals in Yisrael's history, the wannabe King Saul and the wannabe Apostle Paul, will endure a well-deserved fate. As a curiosity, a band of prophets met near Gibeah to appoint Saul as king. As a tall, handsome, and rich man, he 237 fit their criterion for leadership. And it was at Gibeah that Daud recovered the Ark of the Covenant from Philistine captivity. Ramah is where Yasher predicted the Assyrians would advance toward Yerushalayim. The Hebrew root even conveys the height of idolatry. As we continue to read what God says is in store for his people, the more it appears that the overwhelming majority of the remnant reconciled by Yahowah upon his return will be Yahweh. Ephraim will be desolated in a horrific event and Benjamin will be no more. There will be a day of Tokeka, accountability for 11 of the 12 tribes of Yisrael. They will be rebuked and disapproved, chided and chastised. Rational arguments will prevail over their religious drivel. For far too long, Yisrael has lived up to the negative implications of its name, individuals who contend with and struggle against God. The truth will finally be told and hold sway over the lies. Recognizing this, the concluding words are both verbs. Yada, meaning, to know and make known, was spoken by God in the Hyphal Perfect. This stem means that the Almighty is engaging to put Yada into action, such that Yada becomes an extension of Yahowah's effort to educate his people. The conjugation reveals that this will occur at a time of Yahowah's choosing, one likely coterminous with the demise of Benjamin and Ephraim. Aman, meaning to be sure and certain, reliable and dependable, truthful and enduring, was conveyed in the Nephil participle. The stem reveals that Yahowah is not only affirming these things, he benefits from them. And as a verbal adjective, the truth is actively and accurately presented, becoming vivid, demonstrable, and robust, even prolifically depicted. 238 These things Yada, known and Aman, certain, the 2 verbs juxtaposed with their respective depictions, can convey either at that time I will make Yada known to be sure or I will be known and acknowledged for being truthful and reliable, dependable and enduring, or perhaps both. There is always a method behind Yahowah's Ruah. And if the former, the purpose is to affirm the latter. But alas, recognizing neither, Jewish leadership is in for a rough ride. The government and religious leaders, the ruling authority figures, the highest-ranking officials, from Sarah, those who act like royalty, as lords with an assumed right to control others and claim power for themselves, of Yahweh, beloved of are, higher, perceived as, recognized as, untrustworthy and disloyal deviants, alienating and backsliding proponents of circular reasoning. I will pour out, Shafak, I will shed, imperfect, a boundless amount, Gul, a colossal extent, of my righteous indignation and intense displeasure with an outpouring of my wrath, Ebra Eni, my utter disappointment and frustration, kindling my fury, upon them, Alhem, over and on top of them, as if it were fluid, Maim, like water. Hausha, he liberates, Hosea 5:10. Yahowah's animosity is consistently directed toward political and religious leaders, and then it floods down upon the masses once they have been corrupted beyond the hope of words and reason. In this case, describes government officials and religious leaders, the authority figures, within Judah. It offers the impression that they act as lords, as if they were royals designated by their God to rule. They believe they have the right to impose 239 their will on everyone else, restricting the choices of others to control them. God's assessment of Jewish political and religious leaders is that they are untrustworthy. He calls them disloyal deviants, which sounds like he must know Benjamin Netanyahu personally. He takes issue with their propensity for circular reasoning and, thus, being irrational and disingenuous. He does not care for dishonesty or egos either. Being misled by politics or religion, even conspiracism or patriotism, is a sure way to waste one's life and lose one's soul, but it is not a crime. Misleading others is, by contrast, an offense worthy of divine judgment. Worse, Jewish religious and political leadership has engendered Yahweh's wrath, which he intends to unleash upon them. The torrent of his animosity will flood upon them in mountainous waves of righteous indignation. The very men who claim to speak for God and represent his people are the most displeasing to him. Ephraym, the worthless speck of carbon, Ephraym, has been deceived and defrauded, extorted and oppressed, a sark. He has been subjugated by tyrants, brutally treated, horribly cheated, and viciously exploited, cal participle. His competence in exercising good judgment is incapacitated and his ability to reason is shattered, ratsats mishpat, his thinking and decision-making are broken, his capacity to resolve disputes is fractured and fragmented, cal participle. This is because, he has been intent on, agreeable to, and fixated upon, Yal, he is particularly willing and determined, Haifel perfect, going after a variety, holokachar, to pursue right to the very end, of worthless religious dogmas, saw, idolatrous forms of human excrement, revolting filth, utter nonsense, unsubstantiated 240 ideas and fake gods, a whole lot of futile and vain blah blah blah. Hausha, he saves, Hosea 5:11. Religious institutions and governments are crippling. They incapacitate nations to the point that thinking is debilitated and choices are restricted. They deceive and defraud, the productive are extorted and the poor are subjugated. And it does not matter by who, when, where, or how these controlling schemes were imposed. The consequence is human exploitation. Religion, to the maximum extent possible, but also politics, renders its victims unable to think rationally. They become averse to evidence and unfazed by reason. Hand a rational and secular Jew the first 8 volumes of Yada Yahowah, they will grow to vehemently oppose the rabbis. But you could bury the Haredim in them and they wouldn't know what hit them. Based upon the correspondence, there is no one the world over who has read the 4 volumes of Questioning Paul and remained a Christian. But those who are steeped in their religion can't make it through the opening chapter. Prophet of Doom has changed thousands if not millions of lives in the Islamic world, providing those who suspected that there was something dreadfully wrong with a religion that thrives on terrorism to question and discard the doctrine that has sought to control their lives. But jihadi Muslims are incapable of reading it, preferring instead to prove the peaceful nature of their cult by threatening to kill me instead. Yisrael's inability to think rationally was a direct result of the nation's favorite pastime, being religious. They had wallowed in human excrement as if it were a bubble bath and worn it as if it were perfume. The Yisraelites had turned futile and vain blah 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 into a cherished delicacy. Nonsense was the only sense they held dear. 241 But I am like a moth, perceived as something wasteful and fabricated, wa any kaha ash, so I am thought to be a sick creature, a rotten discharge of a nocturnal insect, to Ephraym, la Ephraym, to those amounting to traces of ash, and, wa, much like, ka, similar to, a fungal parasite or a septic infection, ha-rakab, a degenerative disease or dry rot, to the household of Yahweh, la Beth Yahweh, to the family of Yah's beloved. Hausha, he liberates, Hosea 5:12, he is God, after all. So, his assessments are valid and his testimony is accurate. And that makes this a bombshell. Yahweh's dismal evaluations of the religiosity of Yisrael and Yahweh were comparative endorsements when contrasted against the people's perceptions of their God. Yisrael had come to believe that the stories of him rescuing them were fabricated. The only real God was a waste of time and energy that could be spent playing around with the fake ones. From Ephraim's perspective, they were a brilliant flame and Yahweh was but a moth bedazzled by their brilliance. By comparison, Yahweh's great love, Yahweh, saw God as a fungus or parasite. Yahweh was a disease to be avoided. It is little wonder that the relationship called for a divorce. Had they been mine, I do not think I would have dignified them with this letter. It would have been goodbye and good riddance. Nonetheless, he is God and that comes with a number of burdens. One is that he must always honor his promises, no matter how undeserving the beneficiary. He has promised to reconcile his relationship with those who view him unkindly, and that includes Yisrael, so let's at least hope that there is a representative number willing to recant their prior positions. 242 Had Ephraym perceived, Ephraym, had the northern kingdom viewed and witnessed, that which was associated with his malady and sickness, his related illness and disease, his injuries and afflictions, his infirmities and the cause of his suffering, and Yahweh, his oozing and pustulant wound, then, Ephraym, would have gone, to Ashur, Assyria, from Ashur, the way to receive blessings and benefits, the basis of Asherah. The mythical queen of heaven and mother of God, reaching out to, Shalakel, the king of contentiousness and the adversary, Melech Yareb, the physically aggressive and vehemently quarrelsome lord of religion and politics. But this would have been incapable of healing you, Wahulo Yakal la Rafa la Atom, it cannot restore your health, and it will not prevail or succeed in repairing you. This cannot cure you, Walo Gahar, but there will be no recuperation or restoration with this, from the infectious disease which ensnares you, Minatam Mazor, of your ulcerous lesions and from your pustulant wounds. Hausha, he delivers, Hosea 5:13. This is entirely metaphorical. The northern kingdom was never circumspect. They reveled in their religious beliefs, and celebrated their false gods. There was no King Jareb, and the Yisraelites did not venture on their own accord into Assyria seeking a cure for what ailed them. Rather, Ashur is being used symbolically to convey an alternative covenant, the religious path to anticipated benefits and blessings. And therein, Melech Yareb becomes the lord of contentiousness, aka, the adversary, who is ever ready to beguile and then disappoint. The symbolic language continues. As a result, I will be akin to, Anoki Ka, a roaring lion, Ha Shackle, to Ephraym, La Ephraym, and 243 like, Wakar, a conciliatory lion, Ha Kapha, approaching the family of Yahweh, La Baith Yahweh, the home of Yah's beloved. I, myself, any, will tear up or tear apart, Taraf, I will rip up or tear away, providing what is required, then I will either walk away or lift up, Waholok Nasa, I will go away or I will carry away, Kal imperfect, such that nothing will rescue or snatch away, Wa Natsal, so that no one will deliver or take away. Hausha, he liberates, Hosea 5:14. This is a wonderful play on words, an example where similar things convey vastly different outcomes. Looking first at Ephraym, the shackle, lion is roaring. With it, God is shown poised to tear up Yisra'el, Taraf, ripping the nation to shreds, then Holok, walking away, because the purpose will have been to destroy. And for Yisra'el, there will be Ein Natsal, no rescue or redemption. Now with Yahweh, the Kapha, lion is conciliatory, ready to make amends. We know this because Kapha is from Kapha, to reconcile, serving as the basis for Yom Kippurim, the day of reconciliations. Then as we approach the same verbal chain, we discover that Yahweh will personally Taraf, tear his beloved away from Ephraym, separating them from harm's way, while Taraf, providing whatever they require. So now, rather than Holok, walk away, God will be Nasa, lifting them up and carrying Yahweh home. As a result, Ein Natsal, no one will ever be able to take them away again. Continuing to address Yahweh. I will go away and return, Holok Shub, I will travel about and come back, to my place, El Makau Meni, to my home, until they closely examine and carefully consider the way to receive the benefits of the relationship through the restoring witness of the eternal testimony, and Asher Shema, and, they seek my 244 presence, responsibly investigating and learning about my appearance, Bakosh Pana Eni, the desire encountering me face to face. It is during the time of trouble, Bahazara, in a period of great distress, of being besieged and restricted, enclosed and confined, Kal perfect, that they will approach by earnestly seeking me, longing to learn about the relationship, Lahem Shaha Eni, they will want to be with me, inquiring about me while genuinely striving to know me, Peel imperfect paragogic non energicus, of his choosing, Yahweh is engaged by the search and will provide continuous learning at this monumental future event. Hausha, he saves, Hosea 5:15. To begin, Yahweh is affirming that he is going to back away and allow Yisrael to do as they have chosen, which is to fend for themselves. Having come to their rescue, having devoted himself to guiding, teaching, and protecting them, God has better things to do with his time than being abused. This long intermission would last almost 2,800 years with Yisrael and within several centuries of that time with Yahweh, from whom the last of the prophets would come. Then at long last, Yahweh will emerge from their nightmarish past, open their eyes, and become observant. And what before their wandering eyes will appear, but at Asher Shema, the opportunity to closely examine and carefully consider the way to receive the benefits of the relationship through the restoring witness of the eternal testimony. Those of us who are already in the Berith, who attend Yahweh's Miqra'ey, and who are guided by his Torah, will have a ringside seat for the Great Awakening. It will occur during the time of Jacob's troubles, the last 245 years prior to Yahweh's return, when the world comes crashing down upon Jews. The Ethzara la Yaakov is subsequently explained in the 30th chapter of Yirmiyah, Jeremiah, which we will consider momentarily. Should you wish to mark your calendars, and share Pesach with Elyer, it will commence at sundown, Tuesday, April 16, 2030, Abib 14, year 5997 Yah, during the first day of Chag Matzah. Then 312 hellish years thereafter, addressing the times, and half a time reference at the conclusion of Daniel, Yahweh will return to reconcile his relationship with Yisrael and Yahudah. That story is told in the 31st chapter of Yirmiyah. God's people will bekoshpana eni, responsibly seek Yahweh's presence, diligently desiring his appearance, bar hazarah, during this time of trouble. It is then that Yisrael and Yahudah will shahar, earnestly seek their God, longing to rekindle their relationship with Yahweh. Yahweh is directing our attention to what he would subsequently reveal through the Nabi Yirmiyah. This message is recorded in the 30th and 31st chapters. The word, Hadabar, the message communicated, which, to reveal the way to enjoy the benefits of the relationship, Asher, that lead to the path to walk to get the most out of life, came to exist, higher, with, El, Yirmiyahu, Yahweh raises and lifts up, Yahweh teaches and guides to respect and revere Yah, commonly transliterated Jeremiah, from, Mineth, Yahweh, the Almighty's proper designation pronounced as instructed by his Torah, guidance on his higher existence and his role in our Shalom, reconciliation as our Eloah, God, to announce, La Amamah, Yirmiyah 30:1. This is what, Yahweh, the God of Yisrael, Elohim Yisrael, the 246 Almighty of those who engage and endure with God, proclaims, Amar, so as to declare, Amar, of your own volition, write, Katab la'ata, choose to literally inscribe, jotting down using this alphabet, Kal imperative, all of these words, Eth Shel Hadabarim, every one of the statements, which lead to the proper path to get the most out of life, that, Asher, I have and will be speaking to you about, Dabar Elota. Doing so in a written document so that there is a permanent record, El Sefer. Yirmiyah 30:2. Because, indeed, behold, Hine, a time is coming, Yaumim Bo, days are approaching, prophetically reveals, Naum, Yahweh, when I will return to restore, Washub, the property and possessions taken during the captivity, Shaboth of my people, Ameni, Yisrael, individuals who engage and endure with God, Yisrael, and, Yahweh, the beloved of Yahweh, declares, Amar, Yahweh. And then, I will return them, bringing them back, Shubhem, I will transform them and restore them, to, El, the land, Eres, that, for the benefit of the relationship, Asher, I gave, Nathan, to their fathers, La Abhem. They will receive it as their inheritance, Yarash High. Yirmiyah 30:3. And these are the words, El Liha Dabarim, which, to reveal the way, Asher, Yahweh, spoke, Dabar concerning, El Yisrael, and, to Yahudah, El Yahudah. Yirmiyah 30:4, this is what, time, Yahweh, conveyed, Amar, as we heard, Shama, the sounds, Kaul, of concern over the terrorists and terrorism, Sharada Pochod, when there were no prospects of reconciliation or peace, and Shalom. Yirmiyah 30:5. 247 Alas, Howie, assuredly, this time, Ha-Yam Ha-Hu, will be so different, Gadal, that there has never been anything similar to it, Minayin Kamohu. It is the time of Jacob's troubles, Ethzara Hu la Jacob, it is the period of Yisrael's anguish and distress, of Jacob's adversity when Israel will be narrowed, reduced in size, and oppressed in dire straits by vicious foes. And yet from it, Min, out of it, he, Jacob representing Yisrael, will be liberated and saved, Yasha. Yirmiyah 30:7. And it shall happen in that day, Wahaya Baha Yam Ha-Hu, prophetically declares, Naum, Yahweh, of the vast array of spiritual implements, Zaba, that I will break, Shabbat, his yoke, his means of control and manipulation, Ol Hu, from upon your neck, Minalt Sor Otter, and I will pull off and tear away, one attack, your bonds and shackles, Mosarah Otter. Those who are illegitimate and unauthorized, those falsely claiming authority who are foreigners from a distant place advocating that which is improper, Zar, will no longer make him work for them, while Loabad Bar Hu owed. Yirmiyah 30:8. Instead, they will serve with, Abadeth, Yahweh, their God, Elohim Hem, and with Daud, Daud, their king and counselor, Melech-hem, whom, to reveal the way to the benefits of the relationship, Asher, I will raise up and establish for them, Kulmahem. Yirmiyah 30-9. Then, Yaakov, my co-worker, Ebed-eni, my associate who works with me, you will have nothing to fear, Otter al-Yair, no reason to be intimidated or frightened, Yahowah, reveals well in advance of it occurring, Naum. 248. Nor will you be confused or dismayed, Wa al-Chattath, Yisra'el, because, behold, Kyhine, I will save you, delivering you, Eni Yasha'ata, from being distant and alienated, Min Rachuk, from becoming separated as was the case long ago in a previous period of time, along with your offspring, Wa Ethzerah, your descendants and seed, as well as that which you have sown, from the realm, Minares of their exile and captivity, Shabihem, where they were controlled and oppressed, even taken captive. And, Yaakov, serving as a synonym for Yisra'el, will change and return, Shub, will turn around and come back, recovered and restored, transformed, and be at peace and put at ease, Wa Shakat Wasan, find himself in a satisfying situation and favorable circumstance, with no one troubling him, Wa Ankarat, without a concern. Yirmiyah 30:10. For I am with you, Kyethota-eni, prophetically declares, Naum, Yahowah, to liberate and save you, La Yasha'ata, to provide freedom and salvation, deliverance and prosperity. Indeed, I will engage and act, Asar, I will do what is necessary, to bring an end to, Kala, I will without fail bring to a conclusion, completely vanquishing, all of the Gentile nations and institutions, Varshel Hargoim, all of the foreign countries, entities, and each of the pagan peoples of conflicting cultures who are brought together by religion or politics, among whom I have scattered and dispersed you, Ashapozota, by name and reputation, Shem. You will be the exception because, Ethota, I will not act in such a way, Lo Asar, to cause you to fail or perish, Kala, you will not be annihilated or destroyed. 249 Instead, I will provide instructions for you, Wa Yasha'ata, I will enable you to be correct, teaching you and thereby strengthening you, in the way to execute good judgment regarding the means to resolve disputes, La Ha-Mishpat, in how to be judgmental, on how to be discerning and discriminating such that you can make good decisions, to ponder and ask questions about Shafot, being judgmental, making informed and rational decisions, resolving controversies, and being just, such that you are found innocent and are not punished, Wa Naka, so that you are pardoned and forgiven, seen as clean and pure, purged of imperfections. I will not banish you nor leave you destitute, Lo Naka-Otter, I will see to it that you are never again forced to live elsewhere nor lack for anything. Yirmiyah, Jeremiah 30:11. And this takes us to the preeminent event in universal history. Behold, Hine, look up and pay especially close attention, a time is coming, Yaumimbo, days are approaching, Yahowah, God's name transliterated as directed by his Torah, instructions on his higher existence, reveals well in advance of it occurring, Naum, when I will enter into and cut with, Wakarateth, when I will establish through separation a set-apart agreement on behalf of, the house of Yisrael, Beth Yisrael, the home of those who engage and endure with God, and with, Wa'eth, the family of Yahweh, Beth Yahudah, the household of those beloved of Yah, are restored and renewed, Shadash, are repaired and reaffirmed, from Shadash, to renew and repair, to restore and reaffirm, covenant, Berith, family-oriented relationship. Yirmiyah 31:31. It will differ somewhat from, Lokar, it won't be exactly like, the covenant, Haberith, the family 250-oriented relationship agreement, which, to reveal the way to the benefits of the relationship, Asher, that provide directions showing the steps to walk which are correct and give meaning to those who are properly led and guided, I entered into, Karat, I established by setting apart when I cut, with their fathers, Ethabhem, on the day, Bar Yaum, during the time, I firmly took them by the hand and, with overwhelming intent, overpowered the situation, Chazak Eni Bar Yod, I showed an intense resolve and was inflexible in my influence over them, even overpowering them due to the urgent need for them to prevail, to bring them out, La Yatzamin, to draw them out and bring them close. Descending and extending myself to serve by removing them from, of the realm of the crucibles of oppression, Eres Miraim, the place of subjugation associated with religious coercion and political tyranny, the land of military domination and economic cruelty, from a compound of to question and Zar, troubling and adversarial situations. Relationally, they broke, Ashahem Para-eth, they sought to nullify that relationship, by thwarting its intent and by disassociating from the correct path, thereby revoking the benefits of, my covenant, Berith Eni, my family-oriented relationship agreement, although we were married, Warnoki Baal Barhem, Yahowah, reveals through this prophet, Naum. Yirmiyah 31:32. For this reason, This is, Joth, specifically, the covenant, Habarith, the family-oriented relationship agreement, which, to enjoy the benefits of the relationship, Asher, I will cut, Karat, I will create through separation, making and establishing, with, Eth, on behalf of, the house of Yisra'el, Beth Yisra'el, the home of those who engage and endure with God, after that and then without hesitation, a Chahahem, at a 251 later period and in a different time, in the latter days, prophetically declares, Naum, Yahowah, Yahowah. I will provide, placing, Nathan, I will give and ascribe, producing, offering, and bestowing Torah any, my guidance, Eth Torah any, that which is associated with my teaching, instructions, and directions, within them, Bakir Ebhem, inside of them, such that it is part of their inner person, part of their thought process, affecting their conscience, and animating their lives, and integrated into their ability to make decisions, while Labhem, and upon their inclinations and disposition, their character and thinking, their hearts and minds, I will write it, Katab Hai, I will inscribe and engrave it, I will be, Wahaya, I will exist as, their God, Lahem La Elohim, drawing near them and approaching them as a ram shepherding his sheep. And they shall be my family, Wahem Haya La Eni Laham, and they will always exist near me as my people. Yirmiyah 31:33. No longer will anyone impart information or teach, while lo lamedod, individuals in association with an errant and outspoken world, Yishethriahu, their companions, friends, and misled countrymen, or, wa, other individuals according to brotherly kinship, Ishethachhu, so as to say, Lama, approaching to declare, choose of your own accord to know Yahowah, Yada Yahowah, decide to recognize and acknowledge Yah, and show some desire to become familiar with and understand Yahowah. Because, KY, truthfully and by contrast, at this time, everyone will know me, Sherlhem Yada Eth any, all of them, without exception, will actually be aware of and genuinely acknowledge me, from the youngest, Lamen Katanhem, and up to the enduring witness of most important and oldest, Wired Gadalhem, prophetically reveals, Naum, Yahowah 252 Yahowah. Yirmiyah, Yeh lifts me up and raises me, Jeremiah 31:34. And now you know what is going to happen, with whom, when and why it will occur. I trust you will be there celebrating along with us. If you have not already done so, consider this your invitation. You should choose to go, Holok, of your own volition, you should walk and explore, being willingly led, Kal imperative, because we want to return to, Washubel, since it is our desire to turn around and change, choosing to restore and re-establish our relationship with, Kal imperfect cohortative, Yahowah, Yahowah, the Almighty's proper designation pronounced as instructed by His Torah, guidance on His higher, existence and His role in our Shalom, reconciliation as our Eloah, God. For He has torn us for a time, KYH Tarif, expelled us, chased us away, and banished us, Kal perfect, so that He can heal us for all time, Warafa Naknu, so He can promote restoration, cure our diseased and injured state, thoroughly mend and completely repair us, making us whole, Kal imperfect. He has stricken us, Naka, He has smitten and afflicted us, thrusting us aside, but He will wrap Himself around us, Wachabasha Naknu, He will bandage us, wrapping clothing around us, binding us to Him and encourage us, speaking words which hearten and enliven our attitudes. Hausha, He provides, Hosea 6:1. It is our life and our choice because a relationship with Yahowah is subject to free will. It cannot be imposed upon us, which means that, if we want to be with Yah, we have 253 to get up and get going. Specifically, Yahowah's people have to return to Him. They have been busily holocking but going in the wrong direction. That is why they have been estranged and must change to come home. We should also be aware that Yisrael and Yahweh are not being invited into the home of Adonai, Hashem, or God. Likewise, the Lord, Jesus, and Allah are nowhere to be found. There is no mention of Rabbi Akiba or Maimonides, there is no Saint Peter or Paul, no Prophet Muhammad, and no hint of a Talmud, New Testament, or Quran. This journey is through words. It travels back in time to the formation of the Berith and conveyance of the Torah and forward through the fulfillment of the Miqra'ey, and revelations of the Nabi. The chosen people are being called to Holok, walk with Yahowah and to Shub, return to the covenant. And as a vinedresser would do in a vineyard, the diseased and rotten tendrils have been pruned so that the vines can be restored to health. It is time for healing, for restoration, and for reconciliation. Having thrust Yisrael aside for unsightly and mutinous behavior, Yahowah stands ready to wrap His arms around His returning children. He will clothe those He exposed long ago. The divorce will end, the relationship will be restored. Love and fellowship will replace anguish and infidelity. Yahowah's remedy for the consequence of religion, His means of restoring His relationship with those who abandoned Him, is Pesach and Matzah leading to Bikurim and then Shabbat. And for those who missed these fulfillments, consider this Towrah announcement of Kippurim, so that you can join us on Sukkah. 254 through 2 days, Min Yaumim, he will choose to revive and sustain our lives, Chea Naknu, he will, in accordance with his will, facilitate the preservation of our lives so that, once saved by him, we can continue to live, Peel Imperfect Joseph. On the third day, Bar Ha-Yaum Ha-Shalishi, he will establish our restoration, encouraging and raising us so that we can stand up and endure, Kumanaknu, he will make it possible for us to rise, be exalted, and confirmed, restored and supported, our purpose fulfilled, Hyphal Imperfect. Then, we will live, Wachea, we will be restored to life, our lives saved, sustained, and preserved forevermore, Kal Imperfect, in his presence, La Panahu, approaching him at his appearance. Hausha, he saves, Hosea 6:2. There are two entirely different perspectives, from which to interpret the timing of this prophecy. The most direct is to assume that 2 days are actually two specific 24-hour periods that lead to a third day. Considering that the subject is the revival and preservation of human life, leading to a time when we are established and restored such that we can stand and live in Yahweh's presence, there is an obvious answer. Our lives are extended during Pesach and restored during Matzah so that on Bikurim we become part of Yahweh's family, living forevermore in his home. These 3 days, two horrifying and the other joyous, were fulfilled in year 4000 year, 33 CE. Yahweh's beloved son, Daud, served as the Passover Lamb, opening the doorway to life. The next day, the Messiah's Nepesh, soul was taken to Shaul during unyeasted bread to remove the fungal infection of religion from our souls, perfecting and restoring us. On the third day, the firstborn celebrated Bikurim when Daud's soul was released 255 from Shaul and was reunited with his Father in heaven, thereby signifying our rebirth into the covenant family. These are not only the 3 most important dates in history, they are the events Yisra'el and Yahuwah would miss, as would the rest of the world. Even today, you would be hard-pressed to find so much as 1 in a million individuals who can correctly assess what occurred in year 4000 year. While Jews have made a religion out of denying Daud's role in fulfilling these Miqra'ey, Christians have made a religion out of misinterpreting these same events. All the while, Muslims are too busy trying to kill both to notice. As I mentioned previously, there is another way to perceive these 3 days. Yes, it was 2000 years from year 2000 year when the covenant was established to year 4000 year, 2 symbolic days, when its benefits were provided, enabling us with the means to participate in it. But under this scenario, the third day does not get us where we need to go. Year 5000 year, 1033 CE, is neither meaningful nor uplifting. But what if the first 2 days are as I have shared, Pesach and Matzah in year 4000 year, and the third day is Kippurim in year 6000 year? This would make considerable sense because, while Passover and unyeasted bread remain an essential part of the way home, and to living with God, nary 1 in a million Jews has capitalized upon firstborn children. And all of this, the entire purpose of Hausha, indeed all of Zechariah 2, is to make his people aware of their opportunity to reconcile their relationship on the day of reconciliations. Everything is pointing to this day. That is when Yahweh's return, and the renewal of the covenant addressed in Yirmiyah 30 and 31, will occur. This is what follows the time of Jacob's troubles. It is the time a remnant of Yisrael will be restored. 256 These fortunate few will think and say, we want to know, Wadah. We desire information so that we are aware, we want to be perceptive, discriminating, and discerning, Kal Imperfect Cohortative. We choose to invest considerable time and effort to pursue, Radaf, to we want to persistently engage, consistently chasing and following after, Kal Imperfect Cohortative, Yada Yahowah, knowing Yahowah, Yada Yahowah, being aware of and understanding Yahowah. This stage of his journey, Motzahu, is coming forth and appearance, from Ma, to inquire about Yatzah, the coming forth for the exodus, departure, withdrawal, and deliverance, is as sure as sunrise, qashab, is as decided upon, appointed, and established, proven, and arranged as is the sun rising in the east at dawn. He will come, though, he will return, arriving, Kal Imperfect, for us, La Naknu, like the showers, Ka Geshem, of spring rains as they enable the gathering of the harvest, Ka Malkaush, by refreshing and renewing those of the land who accept the source of teaching and guidance which is on display, Yara Eres, by making the land receptive to the Torah's instructions and directions which are being made openly known. Yara is the verbal root of Torah. Hausha, he liberates, Hosea 6:3. Ultimately, while in the throes of Jacob's troubles, Yahweh will finally be motivated to know Yahowah. Spoken using the genuineness of the kal stem, the consistency of the imperfect conjugation, and the volitional nature of the cohortative mood, Yisraelites will want to be persistently perceptive and genuinely discriminating as they process the information God has provided for them to consider. 257 And speaking of what Yahweh has provided for his people's consideration as they earnestly search his Torah and prophets to find him, we are again confronted by the likelihood that God is drawing their attention to Yada Yahowah. We want to know, desiring the information to be perceptive and discerning, Wadah. We choose to invest the considerable time and persistent effort to pursue, Radaf, Yada Yahowah, knowing Yahweh, Yada Yahowah. Since the object of our pursuit is the word which leads to an understanding of God, I am reminded that our journey began with the commitment to go where his words led. And we have followed them to Yahweh, in full recognition that the path is rigorous and unpopular, consistently flowing against religious perceptions. With Judaism, rabbis, and the Talmud having led them astray for 3 millennia, Yahweh will give evidence and reason a chance during the final 3 years. Even now, however, even with the presentation of 15,000 pages of amplified translations, profound insights, and supporting commentary throughout Yada Yahowah, this will not come easily. There is no short version of the truth or dumbing it down for the apathetic. The pursuit of knowledge regarding the Almighty requires considerable effort, and that is by design. Eternity is forever, so there must be a filter to preclude the arrival of those who are opposed to work and do not enjoy learning. If I may return to the beginning to make a point regarding the ending, there is likely more to Chor's experience in the Garden of Eden than what we have been told. In fact, it is what we did not read which defines her story. We have nothing, no conversations, no explorations, no work, no learning, no engagement in the relationship or support of it. Told she could be like God and know it all without effort, she grasped at the opportunity. 258 All while demonstrating her lack of understanding by misquoting God in the process. Chor was readily misled by the misappropriation and errant citation of Yahweh's testimony, as is the case with the religious. She made herself susceptible to false promises, which obviously did not materialize. She was booted from the garden and forced to work, neither of which appealed to her. Then she lost a son to a murderous and lying son, suffering unspeakable agony. Since it is hard to imagine such desperation initiated within Eden, I suspect that there is a lesson here. Perhaps Chor was not helpful. Perhaps she was lazy, lounging around all day plucking perfect grapes off a convenient vine. Perhaps she wanted everything done for her and had no interest in learning more about Adam, Yahweh, the garden, the universe beyond, or even herself. For such people, heaven would be hell. So maybe there was nothing to say about Chor's life in the garden because there was nothing to tell. Relationships are miserable unless the parties involved contribute. Such is the story of the covenant. And understanding is the product of diligent work. It is not spoon-fed on a silver platter. If you want it, read it. It is all there for your benefit. And remember, it is an open book test, so you may want to open the book. What Hausha recorded Yahweh saying next affirms one of the most controversial aspects of Yada Yahowah. We have set dates and expectations, knowing that the next stage of Yahweh's journey is as sure as the sunrise. God's return is imminent, and it will occur on a date that is certain. His relationship with his people will be reconciled, and his Torah, guidance will be integrated into the lives of his children so that we all know, understand, live, and grow. 259 inches This light, I am intrigued that Motsa, depicting the next stage of the journey, is based upon Yatsa, the verb which describes the Exodus. Just as Yahweh withdrew his people from Ephraym, the crucibles of religious and political oppression nearly 3,500 years ago, he is returning to deliver us from the religious and political threat of Babylon. Further, with Qun, we know that God's arrival is certain. It has been decided, appointed, and established. As surely as the sun rises in the east, Yahweh will return on Yom Kippurim in year 6000 year. It will lead to the dawning of a new day, the opportunity to return to the garden, wiser and more grateful for all that has transpired along the way. Indeed, Yahweh is coming to those who have sought to know him, come to appreciate his son, and who have anticipated their return. There will be a marvelous harvest of saved souls as a desolate planet is bathed in life-giving rains. The earth will be restored to the conditions experienced in Gan Eden, Yara, refreshed source of guidance and teaching now on display. We know this because Yara is the verb Yahweh selected to describe the purpose of his Torah. Beyond renewing, it is the source from which God's teaching, instruction, guidance, and directions flow. The rain that Hausha is predicting is explained in Joel. As this statement suggests, it will come in two waves, one to redeem and the other to reconcile. And yet, there is more to learn about this day when Yisra'el will finally seek to know Yahweh than just that restoring showers will fall upon the land in anticipation of the final harvest. So, let's reconsider it now in this context. The word, debar, of Yahowah, Yahowah, to show the path to the benefits of the relationship, Asher, came to exist, Haya, 4, El, Yowel, Yahowah's God 260 Yowel, son, Ben, of Pethuvel, open to God, Pethuvel. Yowel, Joel 1:1. Choose of your own volition to listen to this, Shama Joth, leaders of the community, especially those who are more mature, Hazakan. Hear this and respond of your own accord, Wajan, everyone living in and inhabiting, Shul Yashab, the earth, Ha-Eres. Has such as this happened, Ha-Haya Joth, in your days, Bar-Yaum Atom, or, Wa, even, Im, in the time of your fathers, Bar-Yaum Abatum. Yowel 1-2. Regarding its approach, Al-Hilah, recounted accurately, Sapar, to your children, Ben Atom. Then let your children tell their children, Wa Ben Atom La Ben Hem, and their children, Wa Ben Hem, to the last generation, so they do not get left behind, La Dower Achar. Yowel Joel 1:3. Awaken and choose to take action, Keats, you who are intoxicated, Shikawa. Weep and wail, Wa Baker Wa Yalal, all who drink, Shurl Shatar, in association with new and sweet wine, yea in Alasis. For indeed, KY, it is cut off and severed, Karath, from, Min, your mouth and thus your speech, Pay Atom, Yowel 1-5, because, KY, a large group from a non-Yisraelite nation, Gawi, has come up against, Allah al, my land, Eres Eni, a potent force of a great multitude, Atsum, so numerous as to be uncountable, Ein Misfah. It has sharpened teeth, Shen Hu, the piercing incisors of a destructive beast, Shen Aye, and it has the fangs Matalouth Lahu, of a violent animal with a loud roar, Labi. Yowel 1-6. My vines, Jivan Eni, will be set up, Sim, for appalling desolation, La Shema? And my fig tree, Watena Eni, will become a splintered stump, snapped off and cut down, Katzpa, stripped bare, exposed and condemned, Chasaf high, rejected and hurled 261 away, Wa Shalak, its branches, Sarig high, bleached and whitewashed, Laban. Yowel 1-7. Even the sacrificial offerings which bestow a share, Ky Mincha, and the drink offerings which anoint, Nisek, will be withheld, Mana, from the family of your God, Min Baith Elohim Atom. Yowel 1-13. Consecrate, Kadash, a fast, Som. Announce, Kara, an assembly to meet, at Sarah. Gather, Asaph, the elders, Zakan, and all of the inhabitants, Shul Yashab, of the land, Ha-Eres, to the home and family, Baith, of Yahowah, Yahowah, your God, Elohim Atom. Then cry out to and summon, Wazak El, Yahowah, Yahowah. Yowel 1-14. This is a warning, Aha, to those approaching this day, Laha Yaum, because, KY, the day, Yaum, of Yahowah, Yahowah, is near, Karob. A great force will be exerted, Wakar Shod, upon, Min, the arrival, Bo, of Shodai, the one who is satisfactory and sufficient, Shodai. Yowel 1-15. To you, El Otter, Yahowah, Yahowah, I call out, Kara. For indeed, KY, fire, Esh, has devoured, Akal, the dwelling places, Narwa, where the word is questioned, Midbar, and ablaze with flames, while Li Habar Lahat, are all the trees, Shirlets of the field, Hasadeh. Yowel, Joel 1:19. Sound the Showphar, Takar Showphar, in Zion and among the signs posted along the way, Bar Zion, signaling future action, providing a warning, an explanation, and a shout of exaltation, Ruah, on my set-apart mountain, Bar HaKodesh Eni. Be roused to anger, Raggers, all of you who live in the land, Shul Yashab Ha-Eres, because the day, Ky Yaum, of Yahowah's, Yahowah, return, Bo, is near, Karob. Yowel, Joel 2:1. 262 It will be a day of darkness during a time of ignorance and confusion, Yaum Chosk, when there is a reduction of light, Wa Apala, a day of obscuring phenomenon, Yaum Anan, gloomy and miserable, Wa Arafal, similar to, Ka, the swarthy blackness, Shahar, which is spread out, Paras, upon the mountains, Al-Ha-Ha, with many people from a large and powerful army, Amrabatsum, the likes of which, Chemohu, has not existed previously, even to the dawn of time, Lo Haya Minha Olam. And after this, Wa Chahu, it will never occur again, Lo Yazaf, throughout the years, Ad Shana, generation unto generation, Dower Wa Dower. Yowel 2-2. As they approach, La Panahu, fire will consume them, Akal Esh, and behind them, Wa Chahu, a flame blazes, Lahat Lihabar, as the land and earth, Ha-Eres, come to resemble, Ka, Gan Eden, the garden of great joy, Gan Eden, before them, La Panahu. But behind them, Shahu, is a desolate and unpopulated wasteland clothed in horror, Shemoma, and in addition, Wagam, there is no escape or deliverance for them, Pelita lo Hyalahu. Yowl 2-3. There will be what could be compared to the appearance of Mare, swift war horses as mobile military transports, Sus. This phenomenon could be perceived, Marehu, as being similar to chariots and cavalry, Wakaparosh, especially pertaining to the way they run and are driven in pursuit of their foes, Kenrus. Yowl 2-4. As with the loud roar and thunderous rumbling, Kaul, of these wheeled military vehicles, Mekabar, upon the summits of the mountains, their leaders seek the high ground, Al-Rosh Ha-Ha, as they leap about, springing into the air, Rakad, like the crackling of a 263 flame, Kaul Lahab, of fire devouring, Eshakal, stubble, Cash. Such is the nature of this powerful, exceedingly capable, and enormous army, Amatsum, drawn up, aligned, and arranged, Arak, for war, La Milchama. Yowl 2-5. From their presence, Min Panahu, the people, labor and tremble because of their power and wealth, Shale. Every face, Shirl Pana, becomes flushed and pale, Kabats Paro. Yowl 2-6. Like warriors, Karjaibawa, they charge ahead, Ruse. As men, Kaj, of war equipped with weapons, Milchama, they scale, Allah, barriers, protective barricades, blockades, and walls, Choma. Each individual marches in his own lane, Washbar Derek Hugh Hollock. They do not swerve, Walo Abba, from their path or conduct, Arakhem. Yowl 2-7. Walking around with their weapons, Hollock Wabod Harshalak, they attack, Nafal, without relenting, Lo Batsa. Yowl 2-8. They rush, Shakak, into the city, Baha Ear, from within the walls, Baha Choma, running into the houses, Ruse Baha Baith, by climbing through the windows, Allah Bodha Chalon, entering like thieves, Bokaha Ganab. Yowl 2-9. The earth will quake before them, La Panahu Ragas. The heavens will be shaken, Rosh Shamaim. The sun and the moon, Shemesh Yuraic, will grow dark, Kadar, and the stars, Wakokab, their brightness, Nogahem, will be taken away, Asaph. Yowl 2-10. Yahowah, offers, Nathan, his voice, Kalhu, before the presence, La Pana, of his especially capable and powerful force, Kilhu. Indeed, Ky, exceedingly great, Rabmaud, and capable, Atsum, is his temporary dwelling place which is now in close proximity, Machanehu. The one who engages and acts upon, Asar, his word, Debahu, is indeed, Ky, 264 valuable and important, Gadal. The day, Yam, of Yahowah will be exceedingly awesome, Yermaud, for whoever, Wamai, is lifted up and carried away by him, Nasahu. Yowl 2-11. Yet even now, Wagamota, prophetically declares, Naum, Yahowah, choose to return, Shub, all the way to me, enduring forever based upon my testimony, and any, by using your best judgment, Bar Shirl Libabatum. Yowl 2-12. So open, Wakara, your hearts and minds Libabota, and not your garments, Wa Albijd. Return to, Shubel, Yahowah, your God, Elohim Atom. For indeed, Ky, Hu, is compassionate, Chanun, and merciful, Rachwum, long-suffering, patient, and slow to anger, Arekaf, abounding in steadfast and loyal love, Warab Kesed. He will provide reassurance and encouragement, Nachum, during this malevolent, and miserable ordeal, Al-Ha-Ra. Yowl 2-13. Who knows, my Yada, who will change his thinking and return so that he can be restored, Shu, and be reassured and encouraged after reconsidering, Nachum. He will survive, enduring as a remnant, Shah, in the end, a Char. He will be a blessing Hubaraka, a gift, Minsha, set before, Nazaklah, Yahowah, your God, Elohim Atom. Yowl 2-14. Sound the Showphar, Takar Showphar, in Zion among the signs posted along the way, Var Zion. Consecrate, Kadash, a fast, Som. Announce, Kara, an assembly to meet, at Sarah. Yowl, Joel 2:15. Gather the people for a harvest, Asapham. Set the community apart, Kadash Kahal. Collect those more advanced in age, Kabats. Assemble the children, Asaph Awal, including the infants who are nursing, Yanik Sad. The bridegroom should be brought out, Yatsa 265 Chatan, of his room, Kedahu, and the bride from her bridal chamber, Wakala min Chapahai. Yowl 2:16. for the purpose of understanding and making connections, between, Bayan, the portico and colonnade, Elam, and up to the approach to the altar, while Aharmai's beach, the priests, Har Cohen, and those who serve, Shrath, Yahowah, Yahowah, will cry out, Baker, pleading, Wa'amar, please choose to show compassion upon and spare, Shozal, your people, Amota, Yahowah, Yahowah. And do not allow, while Nathan, your property which was offered as an inheritance, Nashala Otter, to become a contemptible and dishonored object of scorn which is jeopardized, Showphar, simply a slogan to determine who controls it among, Marshal Bahem, the Gentile nations, Gawim. Why should they constantly ask, Lama Amar, among the people, Ba-am, where is Aya, their God, Elohim Hem? Yoel 2:17. Then, Yahowah, Yahowah, will be envious and zealous, having his passions aroused, Kana, for his land, La Eres Hu, and show mercy for and spare, Shamal Al, his people, Amhu. Yoel 2:18. Yahowah answered, Anna, and he said to his people, Amar La Amhu, please take note, Hine, I am sending to you, Shalat La Atom, that which is associated with grain, Ethar Dogin, new wine, Wahathiraush, and olive oil, Wahaizaha, so that you will be fulfilled and satisfied, Saba, with this, Ethu. And I will no longer allow, while O Nathan, you to ever again be, Atom owed, taunted and insulted, Showphar, among the Gawim, Gentiles, Bahar Gawim. Yoel 2:19. 266 I will avoid any association with and remove, Rachik, the invading army whose objectives are concealed along with their use of stealth technology, Hazafani, from within and over you, Min al-Atom. Then I will drive him and banish him, Nadak into a realm, El Eres, which is parched, Zia, and lifeless and deserted desolation, Shemama, with his appearance facing toward, Pana, the sea, Yam, from the east, Kadmani, he will meet his demise at the conclusion of his journey, Sophu, at the sea, El Yam, in the end, Akaran, and his stench, Beosh will rise up, Allah, and his putrid smell, Zachana will ascend, Allah, because, he has acted, La Sa, boastfully, Gadol. Yoel 2:20. Fear not and do not be awed, Al-Yer, land of Adam, Odama. Be glad, Jill, and show a positive attitude, Wasamak, because, Yahowah, Yahowah, has done and will continue to do, La Sa, that which enables our growth, Gadol. Yoel 2:21. Do not be distressed or concerned, Al-Yer, animals of the open environs, Behemoth because, the beautiful pastures and dwelling lovely places, nor, of the barren wastelands, Midbar, are becoming verdant and growing, Dasher. Surely, the tree, Esh, lifts up and bears Nasa, its fruit, Perihu. The fig tree, Tena, and the vine, Wajivan, give Nathan, their vigor and strength, Chael Hem. Yoel 2:22. Rejoice over these favorable circumstances, Jill, children of Zionists, Beni Zion. Demonstrate a positive attitude, Wasamak, with, Yahowah, Yahowah, your God, Elohim Otter, for, he has provided for you, Nathan La Atom, that which is associated with the autumn rains through a teacher 267, who communicates what you need to know about the Torah to live, more, so that you can be right and thus vindicated, La Zardaka. He has brought down, Yared, for you, La Atom, an abundant shower, Jesam, of guidance and instruction, pouring out what you should be contemplating regarding the Torah's teaching and directions, communicating as a teacher what you need to know, more, about being gleaned and growing thereafter, Malkaush, as was intended in the beginning, returning to where it all began, Bahar Rishon. Yoel 2:23. The threshing floors, Hargoran, will be filled, male, with pure grain, symbolic of the most radiant children, and fresh, new wine, sweeter with less alcohol, Thyraush, will overflow, Suk, the presses and vats, Yekeb, along with olive oil, Share. Yoel 2:24. I will reconcile and restore by fulfilling my promises, Shalem, on your behalf, La Atom, the years Ethar which, Asher, suddenly disappeared, Abi, and were devoured, Akal. Yoel 2:25. Then you shall eat and be nourished, Akal. And you shall be overwhelmingly satisfied, Saba, radiating a clear and brilliant light while cheering, Halal, the name, Ethshem, of Yahowah, Yahowah, your God, Elohim Atom, who, for the benefit of the relationship, Asher, has acted and will engage, Asar, marvelously, Pala, with you, Imatum. So never again will my people be humiliated or disrespected, while lo Boshameni la Olam. Yoel 2:26. And you will know, Yada, that I am in the midst, Kireb Eni, of Yisra'el, Yisra'el. I am, Eni, Yahowah, Yahowah, your God, Elohim Otter, and there is no other, Node. My family, Eni, will never be disapproved or experience distress, Lo 268 Bosh, again throughout the remainder of time, La Olam. Yowl 227, and, it will literally come to pass at that very moment, higher, during the last days, Achar, therefore, Ken, I will pour out, Shafak, my spirit, Ethruwak upon, all, Shirl, who hear and proclaim the message, Basar, and they will be inspired by the Spirit, Nobaruwak. Your sons, Ben Atom, and your daughters, Bath Atom, as well as your elderly, Zakan Atom, will have their thoughts guided by divine revelations and be empowered as a result, Chalam. Your boys will become capable men, Batra Atom, by choosing to continually witness, observe and consider, these communications from God, Chizion. Yowl Joel 2:28. And also, Gam, upon, the men who work, Ebed, and upon, those engaged in service to the family, Shafka, in those days, Yam Hem, I will bestow, Shafak, my spirit, Ethruwak Yowl 2:29. Then, I will provide, Nathan, signs, Mophith, in the heavens, Shamaim, and on the earth, Eres, blood, dam, and fire, Etz, along with columns of smoke, Timera. Yowl 2:30, the sun, Shemesh, will become weaker and unreliable, Hapak, and thus darker by being obscured, La Choshik. And the moon, Uraic, will be bloody red, Dam, before the vitally important and awe-inspiring day, La Yaum HaGadal Yer, of Yahweh's appearance, Hana Yahowah, arrives, Bo. Yowl 2:31, and it shall come to pass at that moment in time, that all who, to receive the benefits of the relationship, Shirl Asher, call out to meet, Kara, in the 269 name, Shem, of Yahowah, will be spared and delivered, protected from danger and saved from harm, Malat. Indeed, KY, with the mountain of the signs posted along the way, Zion, and in Jerusalem, Shalem, there will be, deliverance for a remnant, Palitar, just as, Asher, Yahowah, has promised, Amar. And among the survivors within this remnant, Sarid, will be those benefiting from the relationship whom, Asher, Yahowah, has invited and welcomed, Kara. Yowl, Joel 2:32. Look and notice, because, indeed, KY, in those days, Yamim Hem, and during this particular time, when, for the benefit of the relationship, Asher, I return to restore, the fortunes, freedom, and property, Shibut, of Yahweh, and Yahushalem. Yowl, Joel 3:1. Then, I will collect and assemble, Kabats, all of the Gentiles, Shirl Hargoim, and bring them down, Yaredhem, to the valley, Emek, of Yahshaphat, Yahweh judges, Yahshaphat. And I will enter into judgment against them, Shaphotim there, Sham, on behalf of my people, Alameni, and my inheritance, Nashala Yisra'el, individuals who engage and endure with God, Yisra'el. They have scattered and dispersed them, Pazar, among the Gentile nations, Gawim, and my land, Eres they have divided and apportioned, Chalak. Yowl 3:2. And the children of Yahweh, Jews, Ben Yahweh, and the children of Yahushalem, Jerusalem, Ben Yahushalem, you have betrayed, 270 exchanging them, Makar, for the descendants of that which is Grecian, La Ben Ha-Yahweh, for the express purpose, La Man, of removing them, Rachik Hem, from their own territory and bounds, Minel Bulhem. Yowl 3:6. Read and recite this, Kara Joth, against the Gentiles, Gawim. Be set apart and prepared, Kadash, to engage in battle, Milchama. Alert and arouse, Ur, the most valiant, accomplished leaders and battle-hardened fighters, Jaibawa. Approach and rise up, Nigashalah, every man who is able and equipped to fight, Shirley Shah Milchama. Yowl 3:9. Beat, Katat, your plowshares Atom, into swords, La Cherub, and your pruning hooks, Masmara Atom, into lances, La Romach. Let the weak and disabled, Chalash, say, Amar, I am a capable fighter and honorable leader, Jaibawa Yowl 3:10. Provide assistance without hesitation, Yush. Then come, Wabo, all of you Gentiles, Shirl Hargoim, from all around, min sabib. Assemble there, Kabats, Sham, Yahweh, Yahowah, bring down, Nakath, your Jaibaur, most prominent leader and devoted fighter, Jaibaur. Yowel 3:11. The Gentiles, Gauim, will be aroused, stirring themselves up, and going off, Allah, to the valley, Emek of Yahshaphat, Yahweh's judgment, Yahshaphat. There, Sham, I will enter into judgment against them, Washaphotim hem. There, Sham, I will sit, Yashab, to judge, Shaphat, all of the Gentiles, Shel Hargauim, from all over, min sabib. Yowel 3:12. Extend, Shalak, the reaping sickle, Magol, because, ky, the harvest, Katsa, is ripe, Bashal. Return and be included, Bo, to demonstrate your dominion, Radar, 271 because the winepress, Gath, is full, male. The vats, Yekeb, have reached their ideal capacity, Shuk, because the consequence of them being wrong is great and there are so many of them who are immoral and miserable, Ky Rab Rahem. Yowel 3:13. Vast multitudes of uproarious and confused people making an intolerable racket, Hamon, are in, the deep depression, Emek, of judgment, condemnation, and punishment, Karuz. For indeed, Ky, the day, Yam, of Yahowah, is approaching, Karob, in, the valley, Emek, of the verdict determining the sentence for those whose guilt is being assessed, Karuz. Yowel 3:14. Yahowah, roars, Shag, from, Min, Zion, the signs posted along the way Zion. He offers his voice, Wa Nathan Kalhu, from, Min, Yerushalayim, the source of teaching and guidance on reconciliation, Yerushalayim. The atmosphere trembles and shakes, Wa Rosh Shamaim, along with the earth, Wa Eres while, Wa, Yahowah, provides protection and shelter, Miqra'ey, for his family, La and Hu, along with, Wa, a safe situation, Maus, for the children of Yisra'el, Beni Yisra'el. Yowel 3:16. Therefore, Wa, you should know, Yada, that, indeed, Ky, I am, any, Yahowah, your God, Elohim Atom, lives, he resides and remains, shaken, in Zion, Zion, my set-apart mountain, Kodesh any. Then also, Wa, Yerushalayim, the source of teaching and guidance on reconciliation, Yerushalayim, will be, higher, set apart and special, Kodesh. Unauthorized and illegitimate strangers, Zar, will never pass through it again, Lo Abar Bahai Od. Yowel, Yahweh is God, Joel 3:17. 272 This is the day of which Yahweh has been speaking. It will be like no other. For the surviving remnant of Yisrael, God's blessings will be showered upon them. But for Gentiles, should they be Christians, Muslims, progressives, or communists, their weapons of war will be turned to mush, destroyed while their souls are damned. As we near this time, be especially careful when speaking of Jews and Israel and say nothing that isn't affirmed by God and for their benefit. Yahweh has prepared his provision for reconciliation even though it would be a long time coming. Nearly 2,800 years would pass between inspiring these words and being able to hold his children in his arms. This grieved God. What follows is like a father anguishing over his wayward children. What shall I do, Ma'asah, how can I engage, Kalim perfect, with you, La Otter, Ephraym, worthless carbon. What shall I do, Ma'asah, how can I engage, Kalim perfect, with you, La Otter, for you and to draw near you, Yahweh, beloved of Yeh. For your loyalty, affection for the relationship, and devotion, Wa Kesed Atom, your goodness, faithfulness, and desire, are like a morning cloud, Ka Anan Boka, similar to a degenerative fog of vapor or a reflection upon billowing smoke before the sunrise, and like the dew, Wa Ka Hatal, similar to the evening mist, which passes away early, Shokam Holok. Hausha, he saves, Hosea 6:4. Last time I checked, God is relatively smart. So, if he is asking this question, there isn't a very good answer. He had tried personal encounters and talking through prophets, encouraging them and chiding them, rewarding his children and correcting them. Nothing worked. Their devotion to the relationship had the lifespan of a fruit fly. 273 Kesed is used 26 times in the 136th Mizmor, Psalm to demonstrate that Yahweh's love and mercy are eternal and that his faithfulness and kindness serve as the foundation for his actions. Since we were made in his image, these characteristics once exemplified our nature. They were as deep and enduring as the dew on a hot day. And so, while Yada Yahowah may not be the cup of matzo ball soup Yahweh would have preferred for God to have dished up, it is considerably more nourishing than nothing, which is all they had going for them. Yes, there is likely someone out there among the chosen people with the training and intellect to have done a better job, but since they didn't, at least you have an honest effort. And while there will be many who do not like God's recipe, collaboratively, our menu is sufficiently broad so that those who are hungry will dine on something they can digest. Therefore, to be honest and truthful, doing what is just, right, and correct, I have hewn out that which is engraved, qashab, I have carved out the letters using an implement to quarry, perfect, through the prophets, Nabi. I will strike them with deadly intent, Haraghem, I will for a time seek their demise, perfect, by the words of my mouth, with the declarations and promises I have spoken. My decision regarding you, Mishpat, my judgment pertaining to you, is to withdraw the light, or Yatzer, is to take away and remove the enlightenment, imperfect. Hausha, he liberates, Hosea 6:5. Here we are confronted with three verbs, qashab, hewn out, harag, strike to kill, and Yatzer, withdraw, one of which is decidedly negative and two that are typically positive. They were all spoken by God, and each is to be interpreted literally based on the influence of the kal stem. 274. The first two are projected over a finite period while the last is unconstrained by time. With qashab directed toward his beloved Nabi, Yahowah is reminding us that he created an enduring record of his prophetic declarations. His implements inscribe his revelations per his instructions so that his people would not be left in the dark, groping for answers in all of the wrong places. This was Yahowah's answer to the questions, what should I do with Ephraym? What should I do with Yehuda? Sadly, we read their answer, which is that their love for him quickly evaporated. God's intent, which was for his people to engage in the covenant and live with him forevermore, was not only thwarted, Yisrael pissed in God's face, throwing all manner of human excrement at him, by being religious instead. And since they chose not to live with him, since their religion precluded them from even being near him, the kindest thing Yahowah could do for Yisrael was to kill them. Yes, harag, striking them such that their souls would die was not only merciful under these circumstances, but it was also loving. And the rationale will be presented later by Hausha. This is where I initially discovered one of the most profound insights contained within Yada Yahowah. There are three distinct outcomes for human souls, one of which is infinitely worse than dying. Yisraelites were not going to Shamaim, heaven, and Yahowah did not want to send them to Sheol, hell, so he compassionately granted many of them a special exemption. For being religious, for abandoning him, their souls would cease to exist. God's mishpat, judgment, was to suffer this indignity alone and release the guilty to their own recognizance. Yatzer, apart from his light, they would become, as Ephraym implies, worthless ash. It was 275 dust to dust with only a short and misguided lifespan separating the two. We humans get to experience the anguish of this decision when we euthanize a beloved pet. When life becomes unbearable for them, when there is no hope of recovery, we choose to shorten the duration of their suffering. While it is clearly the right decision, tears flow, the heart breaks, and in the end, only the one making the decision suffers. And yet, this comparison is wholly inadequate because we are shortening the anguish by moments, not for all eternity. Yahowah withdrew his light from Yisrael at the time of Hausha's writing, 770 to 720 BCE, and he removed the source of further enlightenment from Yehuda after Malachi, circa 450 BCE. There was simply no one left willing to listen, no one to serve as a prophet, no one to share the light. And even if Yahowah intervened to speak directly to his wayward family, they would have turned a deaf ear. As proof, Yahowah dispatched his beloved Son, our Messiah, to fulfill Pesach and Matzah, and Yahweh not only rejected him, but they adapted their religion to negate Daud's gift. If you are a Jew and reading this, it should make you want to scream in anger toward your people and cry in sympathy for what they have forced your king to endure. If you are a Christian reading this, shame on you. You claim that your God inspired these prophets, and yet, he has trashed the notion of replacement theology, not only here in Hausha but, also, in Yoel and Yirmiah. And devoid of that myth, there is no basis for a Gentile church or a Christian religion. If you are a Muslim, you're obviously not reading this, so go off and do something productive like apologizing to the world for promoting anti-Semitism, and terrorism based upon the verbal diarrhea, and despicable example of the most pathetic man who ever lived. 276 By contrast, it is certainly true that instead, I genuinely desire and actually want to experience, chafetz, I delight and take pleasure in, I have a fondness and affection for, perfect, loyalty, a sense of devotion toward the relationship, and love, kesed atom, faithfulness and favoritism, affection and desire, loving kindness and solidarity, rather than sacrifice, lo zebach, butchered animals or slaughtered donations, in addition to an understanding, dorf, The thoughtful acquisition of information, systematic procurement of knowledge leading to comprehension through perception and discernment, of God, Elohim, instead of injustice and lifting up perverse offerings, min olah, rather than promoting unrighteousness and uplifting evil. Howsha, he delivers, Hosea 6:6. God wants two things from us. The first is a sense of loyalty, some devotion to the relationship, and hopefully our love. And while it was the second on this list, it leads to the first, come to know and understand him. Be willing to invest the time to thoughtfully process the information he has provided to appreciate who he is, what he is offering, and what he is expecting in return. These are simple, baseline requests considering that we owe our lives and the existence of the universe to him. They are even more fundamental when compared to all he has done for us. You will notice that he is not asking for us to sacrifice anything or to offer something other than access to our minds and hearts. He is not soliciting religious conversion, faith, or donations but, instead, a willingness to think and respond appropriately. By eschewing sacrifices and perverse offerings, Yahowah is not scrapping his Miqra'ey. With them, the menu is provided for our consumption and nourishment. I'm sure you noticed in the volumes devoted to the 277 Miqra'ey, that the food is for the family. Only that which is inedible is symbolically sent off to God by way of burning the remainder. These are not bribes to elicit favorable weather, bountiful crops, or victory over an enemy. With that in mind, the following statement brings me to tears. But they, like Adam, wahem ka Adam, so they, in a manner consistent with the first man created in God's image with a functioning neshama, conscience, were displeased and transgressed, passing by and improperly disregarding, obar, arrogantly departing from by seeking to repeal, thereby being separated and alienated by being self-reliant and meddling in opposition to the agreement between parties pursuant to, kal perfect, the covenant, berith, the familial relationship agreement. Behold, Sham, see how, they have been unfaithful and betrayed me, Bagad bar any, they have acted deceitfully, cheating on the relationship with me, immorally, treacherously, and offensively committing religious infidelity against me, even to the point of wearing deceptive clothing, kal perfect. Howsha, he protects, Hosea 6:7. This is something we have not seen previously. Yisrael's rebellion against Yahowah is being compared to Adam Obar, transgressing the Berith, covenant in Gan Eden. Therefore, based upon this pronouncement, we must address the reality that, even though it is not specifically mentioned, Yahowah established a relationship with Adam which was structured to simulate the covenant he cut 2,000 years later with Abraham. As such, the garden was God's home on earth and Adam was perceived to be his son. Further, since Berith was specifically cited, their covenant was replete with conditions and benefits, all of which would have been 278 similar to what we witnessed being explained as we progressed through Bereshith, Genesis. Therefore, Adam was not mindlessly reacting to Chor's decision. He was at cross purposes with God, became unhappy with their relationship, indeed, intensely disappointed with their arrangement, and then tried to alter the conditions of their agreement. We know these things because the terms of the Berith are well established and there are many ways to render Obar, some wonderful and others objectionable. They all need to be considered since Obar's primary definition, which is to pass over, does not apply in this context. Adam was booted out the door at the time, not welcomed through the Pesach, Passover door Yahowah's firstborn opened to extend our lives. Spelled the same way up to the addition of the hand of God, Iberi means Hebrew, the people and language of revelation. The name is derived from Eber, which speaks of being beyond the ordinary and on the other side of the divide. Adam would experience both sides of this equation. When the letters, reading right to left, are pronounced Obar, it is typically rendered as to cross, to pass over, and to travel through, although it is frequently rendered as transgress, seek to repeal, or to rid. However, we must be mindful that Obar is also used throughout the Torah, Marshal, and Mizmor by the likes of Moses and Daud to speak of being very angry, having strong feelings of displeasure, being intensely averse and then acting improperly by arrogantly meddling in an agreement between two parties. Should these connotations apply to this especially derogatory use of Obar, then we have been afforded a unique insight into the mindset which developed in the garden between Adam and Yahowah as well as the 279 attitude which may have led to Judaism replacing the covenant. Let's keep in mind that this is the very reason Yahowah gave Chor to Adam. He was given the opportunity to choose her over him, both of them, or neither of them. And based on his response to Chor's offer, he selected her apart from and instead of Yahowah. Therefore, they would have to make a home for themselves, to fend for themselves. As we have learned, it did not go well. They were as bad at being covenant participants as they were at being parents. These things are obviously related. This now leaves us with a comparison between Adam abandoning the covenant for some or all of these reasons, and Yisrael doing the same. From Yahowah's perspective, they didn't just abandon him, they betrayed him. Their choice of religion over relationship was offensive to God. He did his part, and they failed to honor their commitments, making them deceitful cheaters. Worse, when we combine the worst of Obar with the best of Bagad, it is apparent that Yisra'el became egotistical and self-reliant. As they moved away from God, they became resolutely averse to him. Holding a grudge, they began to meddle with the covenant, changing things away from its intent into something more befitting the religion they adored. Their love for Yahowah grew cold, vanished altogether, and then became a betrayal. Gilead, their testimony stinks. Gilad, a pile of crap used as a defiant witness. From Gal, a mound of rubble heaped up as surging and turbulent waves of Gala, hostile and defiant. Gel, filthy feces and excrement as an ed, witnesses and testimony, is a town. Kriya, is a place where one encounters, plotting and doing. Pol, devising and planning, a litany of false words, idolatrous worship, and corruptions. Aun, A1, wickedness 280 and immorality, a place of iniquity, perversion, and deceit. Tracked with insidiously deceitful and bloody footprints. Akob Mindam, with a visual trail of cunning and bloodshed. Acting like raiders and robbers. Wakar Jejud, similar to a marauding, murdering, and thieving gang of bandits, even terrorists who harass for plunder. The priests, Kohanim, band together in illicit religiosity. Sheba, form an alliance to promote their authority and enchant the gullible with their spells. Waiting in ambush. Chaka, for an individual. Ish, along the way. Derek, to Shechem. Back, Shechem, the first to rise to shoulder the burden. They are murderous. Ratzer, they inflict mortal agony, inflict bone-shattering pain, and commit manslaughter and premeditated murder. Indeed, KY, they are villainous in perpetrating that which is shameful. Zimmer Sar, they engage in decadence and religious idolatry. Hausha, he saves. Hosea 6:8-9. Yahowah reaffirms that his issue with Yisrael is Judaism. Religious leaders continue to plot against the people with their litany of false words and corrupt religious worship, or should we say whoreship. God calls these clerics a thieving gang of robbers whose bloody footprints remain incriminating. They have robbed millions of Jews of their most valuable commodity, their souls. It is shameful. By referencing Gilead, their testimony stinks. Yahowah is holding his nose as he points in the direction of the Babylonian Talmud. He is predicting that it will be Gilad, a pile of crap used as a defiant witness. The rabbis have become a witness against themselves. Theirs is Aun, a litany of corrupt religious ideas and false testimony. 281 Yirmiyah, Jeremiah references Gilad to emphasize that man's remedies are incapable of healing a sickened soul. Is there no medicinal balm, Hatzariyin, in Gilad, the pile of crappy witnesses, Bar Gilad? Is it possible that there is no healing there, Im Raphain Sham? What is the reason then, Madua, that the restoration, Aruka, of the women among my people, Vath Ameni, has not occurred and been celebrated, Lo Allah? Yirmiyah, Jeremiah 8:22. Then speaking of the false prescriptions the religious are offering, Yahowah asks Yirmiyah to question. You virginal women, Bethuelabath, of this terrible religious oppression, Miraim, choose to ascend, Allah, to Gilad, the heap of filthy witnesses, Bar Gilad, and then decide to accept, Walakak, the balm, Sari. It is in vain, as if pleading with worthless gods and false witnesses, Laha Shawa, that you have tried innumerable rabbinic, Rabbah, treatments, cures, and remedies, Rapua. There has been no restoration, not even a conduit to a cure, or a means to ascend, Tala Ein, for you, Lath. Yirmiyah, Jeremiah 46:11. With these insights gleaned, Hausha's 6th chapter concludes with a final indictment. In the house, Bar Baith, within the home, of Yisra'el, those struggle with and contend against God, I have seen, Ra, I have witnessed, something horrible, Charara, that which is shocking, defiling, and dreadful, well beyond the scope of reason. Ephraim's, La Ephraim, worthless ash, religious prostitution and immoral whoredom are there. Sham 282 Zanuth, infidelity and harlotry where affection is feigned for money is renown. Those who contend with God, Yisrael, those who struggle against the Almighty, are defiled, polluted, and unfit, tame, desecrated and dirty, improper and unclean. Hausha 6:10. However, Gam, nonetheless for you, La Otter, the beloved of Yahweh, those who are related to a harvest, Katsa, time for reaping and ingathering, is appointed, Shith, set in place, constituted, and fixed in time, during which, it will be me who will restore the fortunes, Shu Meni Shabuth of my people, Ameni. Hausha, he frees, Hosea 6:11. This is a particularly bold pronouncement. Ephraim has been horrible, acting like a religious whore. Having been contentious against God, they are now unfit to be seen in his presence, and they have sickened Yisrael. And yet, there will be a harvest. The time is appointed when the ultimate reaping of God's people will occur. Yahweh, the beloved of Yah, will be the principal beneficiaries, with Yahweh calling them home and restoring their fortunes. The day is set. Mark your calendars, Sunday, October 2nd, 6:22 p.m., sunset in Yerushalayim, is when Yahweh and Daud will return to fulfill this prophecy on Yom Kippurim, the Day of Reconciliations. And while that is how this story ends for Yahweh, there must also be hope for Yisra'el. The Day of Reconciliations is always plural because, in addition to reuniting Yahweh with Yahweh, Yisra'el is brought back into the fold. And for that to occur, the whore in them will have to be exorcised.